Hello and welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Wendy Yi.
I'm Chris Yi.
And today we're going to be reviewing The Queen's Gambit, the Netflix board game.
You mean chess?
No, this isn't chess.
You mean chess, right? Please tell me we're talking about chess today.
This is chess adjacent.
Here's a 3-player setup for a game of Netflix's The Queen's Gambit, the board game. You'll notice that there are a lot of Beths staring at you dead in the eye here, and it's a little bit unnerving, actually, recording here in the studio. The setup here is done according to one of the 4 randomization cards, so you can set up the game in myriad different ways here. But, you follow this. It doesn't matter whether you put the pieces out on the black or the white side. It doesn't matter. And you also don't use all of the pieces here. These extra pieces per setup are so that you could play a full game of chess if you wanted to on this board. That's why there's the black and the white sides. Not that anybody ever would go to Goodwill and find a decent chessboard for much cheaper. Also, some of the pieces are a little bit smudgy. They've got this weird gray stuff. But anyway, aside from that, what's going to happen here is, in reverse player order, people are going to choose where they want to put their gambit. These queen pawns here represent the pieces that they are going to be using card actions to move around the board and capture pieces until all of them are gone. That's when the game ends. At the end of the game, you're going to count up the number of points you've got, because as in real chess, the knight is worth 6 points, pawns worth 3, rooks 5, queens are 7, and kings are 8 points. So red, being the last player to go, is going to choose this spot up here. And then the tan is going to choose to go over here. And us green, the heroes, are going to go to this spot right here. At this point, out of a hand of 5 cards, you're going to program 3 cards in front of you. This is the first card that will fire off. And then the next turn, this one will fire off and everything will keep sliding over. And you're going to be using a hand of cards here to keep feeding new cards into the row. So let's show you what that looks like. On my first turn, I played a rook. I can move my gambit, my one piece on the board, as if it were a rook, so I can move straight lines. And if you don't know how the different pieces move, it shows you here: queens, bishops, rooks, and knights. Those are the 4 types of movement cards in the game. So I'm going to move my gambit over here. Boom! Juicy 6 knight points. Oh, yes. So this will slide over here, my conveyor belt will go down, and I can take one of my other cards here in hand, and I feed it into the conveyor belt, and I draw back up to 3 cards, so I now have 3 cards to work with still to program those in the future. So the next player will go move their piece and capture little pieces here, and do the same thing, discard, put a new one in, and then reload their hand. So you keep doing that. Let's see what else I got here. My next move is going to be as a bishop. So I come diagonally until I run into a piece. I capture it. I slide it down. I put a new thing over there. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a rook. And then draw back up. So you can see over my next several turns, I'm going to move this like a knight. Bada bing! Capture that piece. Hurrah! And then you just keep doing this conveyor belt. Once you have gone through your whole deck, when you need to draw up a card, you take the deck of cards, your discard pile, you shuffle it up, and then you draw from there. So you're going to be going through your deck multiple times until players continue and get all of the pieces off of the board, which can get a tad bit clumsy at the end, as you don't remember what's in here, or as there's only a few pieces left. And once the game is done, you count up points. Whoever has the most is the winner.
All right, so it wasn't quite chess, but chess adjacent, I think, is a good explanation of it.
Chess adjacent. This is a weird game. I think that has to be said right from the get-go.
It's strange. I agree, it's strange.
I don't know why this game got made, besides the fact licensing and money and everything. But I'm also surprised that it's not a completely inept game.
Sure. I have to say that it was better at 2 than at 4, but it ended up being a real game, which I was worried that it was not going to be.
I thought that you first see it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is chess, but only queens. It's very odd. You look at the board and you're like, okay, well, we want to capture different pieces because they're worth different points. Okay. At one point, the rulebook says, just as in real chess, you blah, 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 blah. And you're like, what? like, you move in certain patterns. That's the only thing that this is, like, at all correlated to chess. And I found it really funny. The rulebook even said that. As in real chess. Yeah. Did you have fun with it?
I don't know if fun is the right word for it. I don't think that I had fun with this game. I think that it was more of a memory puzzle for me of what did I put down? Can I remember what's in front of, like, what did I program in front of me?
I'm surprised. I actually had some fun with this one.
Really?
I did. I thought that it was interesting. The fact that it is that we joked in the office, like, oh, the Queen's Gambit. They reprinted Star Wars: The Queen's Gambit. Well, then I laughed because in Star Wars: The Queen's Gambit, you are obviously doing something way more exciting than playing fake chess. You're controlling Gungans and battle droids and starships and Jedi and your lightsaber fighting. But you do it by programming a certain number of cards in order, and then you fire them off back and
Really?
forth. And so it's much like the Star Wars Risk game, right?
Interesting, okay.
And so I laughed when I saw that this is actually like a little bit of a semi-programming game. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
So I did laugh at that, but then I think it's not a bad little lightweight, silly memory abstract game. There are other games, I think, that do something similar to this that are better. The Rose King comes to mind, where you use cards in front of you that have different movement patterns, and you play them out, and you're trying to basically control different groupings of a main board in front of you. It's a neat little two-player game in the old Cosmos line. This is like an inferior version of that, but actually kind of fun. Thematically, though, I think it's a detraction that this is fake chess.
I think that, yes. I think that the fact that it's based on this TV show that everyone loves is just a selling point. But then that's not what you get. And I don't think that it's going to teach you chess skills either, unless you already don't know the directions that the pieces go. And it's not going to help with that because you have to remember that already.
Oh, it does come with that reference card, though, so that you can know that knights move in L shapes.
When I was a kid, we had these little, like, square pieces that we could play chess with that had the little, like, description of where they went.
Yeah.
So that I could play chess with my brother.
There's better abstract games. There's Yarl.
Really are.
There's the Rose King, as I mentioned. It's just Onitama comes to mind. It's just I feel like if you play Onitama, you will understand board control and risks and gambits and stuff better to actually understand how chess works.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, I'm surprised that with this license, that this wasn't like a chess instructional game. You sometimes you see those products that are like set up here's 9 squares, here's a setup of a few pieces. How do you capture these pieces in the fewest moves, or how do you evade being in checkmate for the next 4 moves?
Teaching actual skills and theory in chess.
I would have found that a lot more interesting.
Yes, I concur.
Yeah. So, yeah, final thoughts and rating on this one?
Final thoughts. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about the 4-player game in this. So because it's a programming game, playing at 4 players, you kind of have no idea where the board state will be, even on your next turn, right? You don't know where people are going to be. You don't know what tiles they're going to already have removed. And the game really slows down as you get to the end because there's a few tiles and you're still stuck with whatever you programmed in to your player area, your tableau, whatever. And so at a 4-player game, it is just so frustrating that you're like, everyone took all the pieces that I planned. I even left myself like a couple leeways of like, I could try a few different paths and still pick up chips, and there's just nothing left. Like that I don't know, it's frustrating, and I don't like that it just slogs at the end, that it just turns into a, who can get there first? Like, how do we get there? But at a 2-player, I feel like there's more of that opportunity to say, okay, I think that Chris is going to go either here or here because those are the highest tiles around him. And if he heads this direction, I need to be prepared for this. And if he heads this direction, I need to be prepared for this because he might take these tiles. Like, I appreciate that I can think a little bit ahead with that, with the programming at a 2-player game. And then it feels more like an abstract game of I'm trying to read my opponent and where they're going. But in a 4-player game, it's just literally a free-for-all of chaotic mess. That's how I felt.
Just, as in real chess, the 4-player mode is inferior.
Yes, there you go.
So rating?
So I'm going to give this a 4.5 because I think that the 2-player version deserves a 5, and the 4-player version deserves a 4. So I'm going to say 4.5.
Interesting. I find that this game works on a level of, it actually is a bit of a memory game. I think the memory is almost the most important part of the game.
It is the most interesting part of the game.
Yeah. I'm giving this one a 5.5 because I actually have fun with it. I really do. But I'm not going to recommend...
But it's not quite a 6?
I would not recommend this to most people. Let's make that perfectly straight. But as a product, hey, there's a lot to dunk on and make fun of it about, but the actual game is... It's
playable?
Sort of, it's playable. It's sort of competent. And so, but not something to go rush out and get, But that memory aspect of it does make it work because you're sitting there going, okay, I can remember 3 cards in front of me, obviously. But the more that you reveal it and then you put the new one in, and then you have to kind of remember what you sequenced before, that part works for me. I actually have a bit of fun with that. I'm like, here's my rook, trusty rook, knight! Oh no! So, because of that, I laughed at this game. 5.5 from me.
Well, there you go. I'm Wendy Yi.
I'm Chris Yi. Thanks for watching a review of Netflix's The Queen's Gambit, the board game.
Yep, what he said.
Nailed it.